Hi, everybody. I'm Bruce Rader, along with former NFL running back D.J. Dozier, as we look ahead to this week's Redskins game against the Eagles and preview this week's Washington Huddle. Now, obviously, D.J., the Redskins aren't going to make the playoffs. The Eagles really do, though, need to beat the Redskins to keep their playoff hopes alive as they battle the Cowboys down the stretch. Does this make any difference in the way these two teams play?
I think so. I think anytime that you have the potential, in the Redskins' case, to be a spoiler, there's a little more incentive to win. And obviously that doesn't mean the Eagles don't have an incentive. They certainly do. But it's easier to work and operate as a spoiler because you have nothing to lose and you can go all out. You can try new things, and you just never know what will happen in a game like that.
You know, the Redskins have been suffering through a lot of injuries all season long. The Eagles have really just kind of gotten the injury bug the last few weeks, and I think they're trying to find a way to overcome that. The Redskins are sort of used to it.
Right. So yeah. So they've got some history and some experience in that case. In other words, the Eagles have an added disadvantage the last couple of weeks, and so it's going to be a tough outing for them, especially I think at their offensive line. They have the one power offensive lineman out, and so that could help to disrupt some things for them.
I think in these last 3 weeks is going to be a telling moment for Carson Wentz. We're going to find out how he deals with this pressure of not being, if he doesn't get hurt, of course, before the end of the season. Quarterback Dwayne Haskins, speaking of injury, sprained his ankle just before halftime against the Packers, but he played hurt until the end, including coming up with a big scoring drive in the final minutes of the game, and his teammates and his coaches were very impressed by the way that he toughed it out. He didn't ask to be pulled out of the game, proving that maybe he's got what it takes to play in the NFL.
Well, and it's interesting with the quarterback in the NFL, they're not always given the toughest man on the team award, right? So
only the running backs get that, right?
Well, of course.
Yeah, I'm just kidding. Yeah.
No,
I'm really not kidding.
But he proved that to his teammates that he is worthy of that accolade.
But we're talking about pros here.
Right.
Does it really matter? I mean, our guys in the locker, this isn't high school or even college, are these guys in the locker room going, man, I want to follow that guy. He showed his toughness.
It means something because he's not just playing for himself. He's playing for the entire team. And I think when players see that as a pro, because let's face it, now you're a pro, you're getting paid, you can sit the bench. You get respect when you go out on that field with an injury or certainly a tough injury. And the ankle is, a very tough injury, especially for a quarterback.
Any tough guys that you had on your team while you were playing in the NFL? I mean, guys that you just said, man, that guy's just getting beaten up, but he will not pull himself out of the game.
Keith Millard was one of the toughest defensive linemen I've ever seen, and one of the quickest and off the field nicest guy in the world. But on that field on Sunday, he was a terror, and him along with Keith Dolman, especially being on the same side of defense. I mean, they together just. Matter of fact, I think the one year the two of them had almost 30 sacks in one season.
So that brings me to that question I just asked you. So when you were in that locker room, even as an NFL player, did you look at those guys and say, you know what, I'm glad to be on their team. They really impressed me with their toughness.
Absolutely. Again, NFL, that means you're getting paid, right? And so in the mind of a fan, you may think, hey, these guys can sit down and sit this one out. But when you see a guy that's willing to put his body on the line, literally in some cases, it does show and give respect. I mean, it shows respect to the team, and the team in return respects you for that.
Right, I like that because it bodes well for a 22-year-old kid who may be the Redskins quarterback for many years to come.
Absolutely.
Still 3 games left, all against division opponents of the Eagles this week, the Giants next week, and then the season finale in Dallas. It's a great opportunity for these young guys on the Redskins team, and these coaches are playing young guys on both offense and defense. You got a rookie quarterback before Darius Geis got hurt. You had virtually a rookie running back. Your 3 top receivers right now, 1, 2, and 3 targets, are all rookies or second-year guys. And on defense, they're getting a lot of looks at these young players. It's a really good chance for these young guys to prove that they should be starters next year.
Absolutely. And when a team gets to the point where they know they're not going to make the playoffs, you got a couple of games left, 3 games in this case, there's no doubt that the young players get a shot, and it's a showcase. They have to prove that they're worthy of being part of the future, at least from a strategic standpoint. And there's no doubt that they'll show up on Sunday and play as hard or harder than some of the initial starters. And so it makes it an exciting game. I think even in the locker room, it creates a different energy, right? And so I would love to be in the locker room before a game like that and watch and look at the rookies or the young guys and see where they are mentally versus the games that they weren't necessarily going to get a lot of playing time.
And then the veterans can say, I think I'll sit this one out. All right, finally, how do you handicap this week Redskins-Eagles game?
Oh boy, so I think you've got 2 teams that have struggled. Obviously, the whole NFC East has struggled, but I think in this case that the Redskins have the edge again because they have nothing to lose. They can go all out, and they walk away with the victory.
All right, we've talked a lot about offense tonight. Next week we're going to talk about defense. I promise. Former NFL safety Darren Perry, who also coached for a lot of teams in the NFL as a defensive coach, is going to be with us. The Redskins against the Eagles Sunday afternoon, and join DJ and me this week on the Washington Huddle.